Evening, I call to order this regular meeting of the Verona Township Council for Monday, the 20th of May, 2024. Madam Clerk, would you please read the Open Public Meetings Act compliance statement?
Notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied with respect to this meeting of the Township Council. The meeting time and date were included in the public meeting notice along with the public internet link and telephone call-in information. Said notice and the meeting agenda was posted in the municipal building and sent to the official newspapers of the Township, the Verona City Road Times, and the Star Ledger. It's 48 hours preceding the start time of this meeting. The agenda and handouts for this meeting can be viewed online at veronanj.org/council meetings. The public comment period will be held. The orders listed on the meeting agenda and instructions on how to comment will be provided at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Holland? Here. Councilwoman McGrath? Here. Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Here.
Mayor Campbell?
Here.
Mayor also present tonight is Township Manager Jody Arco, Township Attorney Brian Aloya, myself, Municipal Clerk Jennifer Kieran.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you please stand for the pledge, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All items on my report for this evening. The first is, of course, relevant to some of our attendees here. I had the honor of attending the latest Eagle Scout ceremony for Troop 2, Boy Scouts. And we have today with us Chris Caldera and Vic Tedesco, and we'll be giving the proclamations later, allowing them to address the council at that time. But it was a great ceremony, and as I remarked during the ceremony, you couldn't pick two nicer people who earned this honor. And I think we should all, the world would be a much better place if we were all a little bit like Chris. I also had the opportunity to accept the invitation to the Treps Marketplace, which is an entrepreneurship event run by Our Lady of the Lake Roman Catholic School. I was joined by West Orange Mayor Susan McCartney, and we got to participate in the ribbon cutting of that. It's a neat project, and we had a lot of kids from different communities participating. I went home with a lot of different homemade dog treats, all of which received the seal of approval from Radar. And I thank them and congratulate everybody for doing some really amazing work. I had the opportunity to attend with Deputy Mayor McAvoy the Unico Sunday Gravy Dinner, which is always a wonderful event. And I thank Unico for their extraordinary work in providing funding to so many worthy causes in town. They're really one of our shining organizations. And finally, I invite everybody to join us on Monday, a week from today, for our Memorial Day parade and observance here at Town Hall. It is always a very touching ceremony, and I look forward to honoring those who died for our country and also recognizing retired Chief of Police and Township Manager Doug Huber as our Grand Marshal. In the past couple of days, the community has really responded very positively to Mr. Huber's appointment to that role, and which is such a testament to his character, but you can recognize him that way. And now we'll bring up Mr. Bolshrey, our committee liaison.
Good evening, Mayor Council.
Where's
Your computer? It's corner, right? Hopefully everyone's doing well. Going into the summer season, and we have an abundance of things on the agenda, starting with Thursday, May 23rd at Grover Cleveland Park. It is our fishing derby, and registration's from 5 to 6. The derby is from 6 to 7, and awards are from 7:15 to 7:30. Then on Wednesday, May 29th at the Verona Park. Do you all know where that is? So, same schedule, but I will leave this bulletin with the clerk. This way she can post it on your website. The next one is Thursday, May 30th at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Essex County College Gym. 177 West Market Street is the Essex County Job Fair. Again, I will leave it with, there are a lot of various companies there looking for employees. So if somebody locally is looking for, the other thing is we have on June 1st, between 8:30 a.m. and 12 noon, is at the Essex County Public Works Building, 99 West Bradford. We have our shredding annual for homeowners, get rid of your taxes, etc., and other papers you have around. The other thing is we're going into the summer season, and we also have our summer concert series, and we have on Friday, and I'll mention this later on at other meetings, and I'll bring some handouts also. Friday, June 28th at Branchbrook Ave, New Jersey Symphony Orchestra and fireworks. Men of Soul, Tuesday, July 2nd at Weequahic Park. And the great day of the year, Wednesday, July 3rd at Brookwood Park. Yes, that is why it's the great day of the best day of the year. That being said, any comments or questions?
Thank you. I think there's a great concert that you're sponsoring in Verona Park, but I don't remember the date, so we'll talk about it at an upcoming meeting. So I think there's concerts throughout all of the park.
Yes, there is. That's why I'll have handouts. Normally by this time my office would have gotten them. But as I come to the next meeting, I will definitely have all that.
I just wanted to say I was able to attend the Women's Health Fair that was in the new Cherry Blossom Welcome Center in Branchbrook Park, which the Welcome Center is incredible, totally gorgeous and so well done. And the Women's Health Fair was such a great event, so many great tabling from a variety of organizations, and I had my blood pressure taken, and they were doing mammographies, and I understand they're going to offer it again on the weekend at some point in the future, and that was great. And I also attended the bust dedication. I saw you out of the corner of my eye for our former Lieutenant Governor,
Yes.
Sheila Oliver, and that was such a wonderful, impactful event. And I just thank the county executive and everyone at the county for really honoring her legacy of women leadership and what she did for not just the state, but also Essex County. So please pass along my thanks.
I will. Regarding the health, there will be one for men also, and county website and the health department and the parks department. There's a lot of things going on throughout the county, and especially in the summertime from almost Memorial Day until the end of the year. And towards the end of the year, because there's going to be, stuff at the zoo over the summer, Halloween, etc. So, any other questions or comments?
Just one comment. I thank you for having the art show in Verona again this year. I had the opportunity to go. My excitement was they had a homemade cheese monger there, so Radar and I left with some of that. But it was such a nice day that it was a really nice boon to our downtown businesses. So I hope I
will pass that on in our cabinet.
Appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fulton. Yeah. Right. Up next, we'd like to recognize our Eagle Scouts. And first, we'll have Mr. Caldera. Chris has already come and talked about his project to the council, but if you want to give us a brief synopsis of it again, and then maybe what you've done since we last saw you, and then you don't have to have a super long dissertation on it.
Good evening, everyone. I'd first like to thank Mayor Tamburo for coming to me and Luca's Eagle Scout Court of Honor. I appreciate it, and it means a lot. My project, I constructed the 2 picnic tables behind the Verona Community Garden around a year ago now, and they are used by the classes at HBW as well as the people in the garden to classes can come out there, and it supports an area for them to learn and be able to sit without having to stand the whole time. Yeah, since then I completed more merit badges and passed my Eagle Board review in February and then had my Court of Honor this last May. Yeah, so once again, I appreciate you for coming.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right, well, you can stand there while we say some nice things about it. You can face the audience. If you'd like. Hey, at our proclamation for Christopher Anthony Caldera Reed, the vision of the Boy Scouts of America is to prepare young men in America to become responsible, participating citizens and leaders who are guided by the Scout Oath and law. Whereas Chris Caldera has held the positions of Senior Patrol Leader, Assistant Senior Patrol Leader, and Scribe. Whereas Chris is a member of the Order of the Arrow, through which he has achieved the level of brotherhood. And whereas, as a senior at Verona High School, Chris is a varsity member of the cross-country team, participating in the 5K, and a varsity member of the spring track team, where he runs the 1,600 1 mile and 3,200 2-mile races. Whereas Chris is also a member of the National Honor Society and volunteers on the Verona Rescue Squad as an emergency medical technician on the Wednesday evening crew. He has obtained his second-degree black belt in Taekwondo. And whereas the Boy Scouts of America encourage Eagle Scout candidates to complete worthy projects to improve their neighborhoods, their community, and the region. And whereas Chris selected his Eagle Scout project with a community garden to provide our community with an area for outdoor school instruction, as well as a place for residents to sit in visiting the community garden. And whereas Chris designed, fundraised, and led a group of scouts to construct 2 cedar picnic tables with umbrellas for the Verona community garden. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Dr. Christopher Tamboro, Mayor of the Township of Verona, congratulate Christopher Anthony Caldera for achieving the rank of Eagle Scout and wish him all the best in his future endeavors. The witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause the great seal of the Township of Verona and County of Essex, State of New Jersey, to be affixed on this 20th day of May in the year 2024. Congratulations. Thank you. You're going to come up. The council's going to, we're going to take a picture. You stay on me. Yeah, right. Stop it. Or you get to hold on. There you go. So you gotta have your son in the center. Okay. Right. Who's stressing? Come on up. Let you share a little bit about your project, which is a great one, in my opinion.
Of course.
Please do.
I'd just like to say thank you all for having me. Thank you to Mr. Tamboro for coming to our mental health is always me. I've watched a lot of close friends, a lot of close families problems as of myself. So for my Eagle Scout project, I partnered with the Mental Health Association of Morris and Essex County to build some benches, new planters for their new office Parsippany. And I built them as a space that can be a zero judgment zone for people to talk about their issues, to get advice from familiar friends, and to seek help when they feel like they can't.
Great project. Right. And turn around. Always take my suit by you. Whereas the vision of the Boy Scouts of America is to prepare young men in America to become responsible, participating citizens and leaders who are guided by the Scout Oath and law. Whereas Luca has held the positions of Assistant Senior Patrol Leader, Webmaster, and Troop Guide. And whereas as a senior at Verona High School, Luca has participated in the VHS music program for 4 years and learned the leadership position of saxophone section leader and participates in the concert band, percussion ensemble, and chamber winds ensemble. Whereas Luca also started VHS's first esports team, is acting secretary of an engineering club, and recently inducted into the English Honor Society. And whereas the Boy Scouts of America encourage Eagle Scout candidates to complete worthy projects to improve their neighborhoods, their community, and the region. Whereas, inspired by the mental health struggles he saw during the pandemic, Luca wanted to construct something that would give individuals a non-judgmental place, talk with others about sensitive issues in a safe and tranquil environment. Whereas Luca's Eagle Scout project consists of building listening benches that are placed at the Mental Health Association of Essex and Morris Counties, new offices in Parsippany, New Jersey. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Dr. Christopher Tamboro, Mayor of the Township of Verona, congratulate Luca Joseph Tedesco for achieving the rank of Eagle Scout and wish him all the best in his future endeavors. Witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the great seal of the Township of Verona and the County of Essex, State of New Jersey, to be fixed on this 20th day of May in the year 2020. Congratulations. Again. You got already esports. Okay. This also should be noted that Luca is an intern for Verona Town. So he's familiar with this place.
I'll be downstairs.
Hold one side of it.
Great.
Okay. So, yeah, you're.
Thank you. Politics.
Last but certainly not least on our proclamations this evening is our recognition of the EMS Week. This is a special one certainly for me because it's an opportunity where I get to recognize people with whom I've worked for the past 10 years as a member of the Verona Rescue Squad and several other folks around other agencies around the state before then. And not only, I feel like that commercial for Rogaine back in the day, but I haven't just been a member of the squad, I've also been a patient. I didn't want to be, but I have been, and I can say that on those occasions, I was provided the best care, and people ask me, "Oh, did you get any special treatment because you're a member?" I said, "Absolutely not," because I know that the same care that would be provided to me was going to be provided to everybody that we worked with. So this organization is, and as we've heard, Assistant Chief President Tempesta and Chief Jung here on multiple occasions explain the health of the Verona Rescue Squad as an all-volunteer organization that is serving 24/7 without recompense and covering our calls and providing mutual aid to other towns and expanding into other areas of EMS across the state. We are so fortunate to have this group here. And what I think pleases me the most is as one of the, I can't believe I'm saying this, but older members, it's great to see the young generation come in and take on the passion that people over the years sacrificed and provided for. So I am going to read this proclamation. We'll invite everybody in to squad up. Reads, whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care for those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves survival and recovery rate those who experience sudden illness or injury, whereas emergency medical service have fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. Whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital providers. Whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. Whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value of the accomplishments of emergency medical service providers, especially our own Verona Rescue Squad, by designating Verona Emergency Medical Services Week Now therefore be proclaimed that I, Dr. Christopher Tamboro, Mayor of the Township of Verona, proclaim the week of May 19th through 25th, 2024 as Emergency Medical Services Week. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the Great Seal of the Township of Verona in the County of Essex, State of New Jersey, to be affixed on this 20th day of May in the year 2024. Let's bring up our swap. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice to see.
I can look back a little bit. So
You guys are tall.
thank you.
Caller wants to the back.
Somebody's got to accept this. Put his face over here, Patrick. There's one on the side. There you go.
Yeah, we gotta even it out. There you go. You're not really in the middle.
Want me to go? This?
No, I mean.
Yeah, that's all right. We good. Amen. Okay, thank you. Thank you guys. Thanks for coming.
One, two, three. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
So the standing and sitting portion of the meeting. At this point, I'll turn over the meeting part of the township manager. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be handling both agendas tonight, mine and the deputy directors. You did receive, the outline of the, report from the community's meeting to the one residential area relative to emergency services complex. We have received, two proposals, RFPs for fundraising companies. They're being reviewed now, and we should have a recommendation for you for your next meeting and be able to put that together. The sponsorship policy, we're gonna draft with the company when the company is selected, since they have a lot of experience in that aspect of they in naming policies for those elements of the building. I'm gonna skip over number 5, which is the mid-year election or is prepared presentation to the council. CDBG applications are in and pending, and we'll be applying for new ones for the 2025 projects that we're moving forward. I will have item number 10 in closed session along with item number 11 on my agenda, which would be the senior transportation program. I'll be discussing those contracts in the closed section. I will be scheduling a meeting. It came up at our last meeting that I was here before my vacation on pickleball and Colwell College. I'll be scheduling a meeting there to get a sense of what the request is or suggestions are, not to overlook anything. Then you'll see there was a meeting of pickleball and the organization. Kevin's on his report with the engineer for the designing of the pickleball court, your existing facility. So I'll skip that in Kevin's report. So I'm happy to tell you, and I believe you've read that already, that your new entrance signs at the pool has been sponsored by Lakeside Deli. They're paying for that. And the work should start shortly. There'll be public information out to the community about the welcome sign at the triangle. That's going to be completely rehabbed. The color will be changed to your town color. And that has been sponsored by DCH Acura, the full cost of that rehab of that sign. The Chamber of Commerce, we met with the Chamber of Commerce. They have the list of parking lot signs for sponsorship, and we'll have another meeting with the chamber and see how that is moving along before I reach out to other businesses that may not be members of the chamber, but the chamber was the first meeting. Other than closed sessions, that's one of the highlights of the items on my report. Moving on to the deputy manager's report. The second quarter billing has been mailed out for the new rates on the water sewer. The pool study is moving along with new gen. There's not too much progress, but that'll be presented to the council when it's concluded. And I believe this is spring, the meeting's being set for. The new zoning fees are being placed into effect for July 1. The Lynn Drive in Fairview is on schedule, moving according to schedule and doing very well on that project. The parking meter rates will become effective on May 1st, or did come effective on May 1st. Time is flying by. And I did mention we had the pickleball court are ready. The road projects are in full gear, in full motion without any hiccups, including the meetings with the Shade Tree Commission that has full input into the trees. They can't have any pre-construction meetings unless Shade Tree has the chair, the vice chair there. And I think that would be the highlights and everything from the prior month's report, which was May 3rd, and May 15th is progressing nicely. Always project.
Thank you, Mr. Diar. Any questions? Diar? Hearing none. Are we going to move on at this point to our election vote?
All right, thank you. A lot of slides, but not a lot of talking, not lots of slides. I wanted to discuss with you based on your questioning about the payments and then of our 2023 municipal election. So I have done an analysis with some explanation of the expenses that we incurred. And we're going to slate. So first of all, I wanted to go over the responsibilities of the municipal clerk. When there is a municipal election in May, a nonpartisan municipal election, the municipality is responsible for all costs involved in that election. And the municipal clerk is statutory mandated to perform all the duties required to conduct an impartial and fair election. Those which duties are typically done by the county clerk, clerk of the Board of Elections, and the superintendent of elections for both the June primary, November general elections that occur each year. Change slide. So what that entails is creating a.
I'm sorry, changing on the Zoom as well.
That's
We need the other half, but is that again? That's right. It's great.
right. What the responsibilities entail before, during, and after the election, are creating the candidate packet, advertising the election, distributing those candidate packets, notifying the county and state of the offices to be filled, verifying all the signatures on the petition, which are a percentage of the number of registered voters in your municipality. Conduct a ballot drawing to see the placement on the election ballot. Publish various publications for vote by mail, the notice of election, the notice of polling locations, the names of the candidates as they appear on the ballot. We proofread the ballots and arrange for the mailing of the sample ballots, which are not mandatory in a municipal election, but are expected from the voters. So I chose to do that. We have to hold late, we don't have to, but I choose to hold late night voter registration on the last day of registration so that people can have that last opportunity to be able to register to vote in that May election. We assist with the polling, placing of poll workers, not the adults. That's the job of the county, but with the students, which is another feat in itself, but the mayor knows that. When the challenger list is filed, we have to provide the credentials and then of course there's election day, and then about 12 to 16 days after the election, we certify the election results with the county after all the mail-in ballots and provisionals have been counted. So the total expenses for this election were $75,152.47. So what does that cover? That covers, I have a percentage of the breakdown with the two largest amounts being the printing of the ballots and the paying of the poll workers. There's also percentages breakdown on your handout. So we go one more to a pie chart that I did that's a little better to understand. You can see that the two largest, the brown and the blue, are the poll worker charges and the ballot printing. We are required to print 40% more than the number of registered voters in the municipality because of the event of spoiled ballots or anything else. We're also required, because we have at every polling locations more than 900 registered voters going to those locations, that we are mandated by Chapter 19 to have 6 board workers. One must be a judge, one must be an inspector, or in charge of that process, and have to be from parties. 4 of those poll workers need to be from each political party, and you could have the remaining 2 could be the unaffiliated voters. About checks and balances. So going forward, how can we decrease expenses going forward with non-partisan municipal elections in May? Oops, sorry, I gotta go back. Okay, the first off is chart that I've done that goes as high as 25%, but it's the breakdown of the pie. But I wanted you to see that everything in an orange bar is a fixed cost. It'll basically only go up. There, the ballots, the programming of the machines and the polling books, the staff at the county level, we have to pay for food to feed them. We have the publications that are mandated by law, the sheriff's officers, and the office supplies that I would purchase for what I'm responsible to provide at the elections, would be the only 2 variable costs that would change depending on need. Everything else is basically a fixed cost where there is statutory involvement in numbers and staffing and for all 3 of the county offices.
So if I ask you,
Yes.
on poll workers, so we are operating at the minimum number of poll workers that we can operate on, or are we operating extra?
Well, it depends. We have about 4 or 5 at a location. When I look, sometimes you get, and more times than not, you get to know the people that don't show up. There are poll workers that are placed. So a poll worker list might have 7 people listed, but it's because past practice has been people may not show up. And then what happens throughout the day is, for low staff, because of the 2 no-shows, we have the ability to move poll workers from one location to another.
And this poll worker number is that for the high school students? This is they're
Yes.
meeting our statute.
Yes, because the high school workers are trained just like the normal poll workers, and they're considered a poll worker, district board worker in the eyes of the state.
They're meeting our statutes. They're not extra.
They're not extra, they're meeting our statutory requirements. They've been trained just as much as the other poll workers, and they get paid the same. And they have the same responsibilities and same accountability.
And what is the sheriff's form?
Well, if we have an incident, we need to call the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department receives, there's a chain of custody on election night, where I provide the ballots sealed and the provisional ballots that are locked in locked crates to the police department. And the police department then has them in custody, and they go directly to Newark, where the sheriff's officer then takes custody of them. Those are the Essex County Sheriff's officers.
It's interesting, we're paying them 20 almost $2,300 for that.
They're also on call down in Newark, but that varies. I'll get to that right now.
Okay.
So there's other cross-driving factors. Our municipal elections on odd years coincide with South Orange and Cedar Grove. So all three of us are the only three municipalities in Essex County holding elections in May on odd years. So most of the expenses are tried to be split three ways by the county officials. However, they keep pretty good track of who, for instance, calls for an officer. And a sheriff's officer that comes up. So those might change between the three municipalities. So there were a little bit, all within 5,000 of each other, but there were some really minor differences in some of the charges. But 75, 77, 79,000 were the charges, which is kind of, in my opinion, commemorative or, related to the amount of voters in the municipality. So with that being considered, with these cross-driving factors, and being that Cedar Grove and South Orange hold their elections on the same day, if they were to move to November, it's unclear how much of our costs would increase. A lot of those fixed costs that I showed you on the previous page would probably stay, maybe be a little bit more increased, because it would be a final number that we would be responsible for. The other considerations that I just want to mention is municipal elections could elevate the pressure point of the Board of Education. There's chapter 19:8-3 that mandates that elections be held in the schoolhouses. And even though they have an agreement with the schools, they don't have to. The county can just hold an election if they want, which is happening with our special election. So this would eliminate at least one election during the school year. And now with the police that are not allowed to even be within 100 feet of a polling location, there is, especially with the schools, there are some security concerns, and rightfully so. But I try my best to try to mitigate those. But that is one of the most biggest complaints that I hear as we approach each election.
Councilman Grant, you have a question?
Yes, so you're detailing, the costs if staying with May, but if we were to move to November, going back to your
Right.
previous slide, what costs remain and then what goes to zero?
So what we would pay for would be if we needed to call up any sheriff's officers from Newark on election day to kind of lower their temperament or whatever at a polling location if there's some kind of need for them. And whatever supplies I need. There are things that I'm mandated by state law to provide an American flag at every location, and other things, the pens and stuff, just to make the election run smoothly. I like to provide the I voted stickers because but it's a very minimal amount. I think I spent about $300 on office supplies in our May election.
So going back to your bar graph, the two things in pink are the only costs we would have in November. So everything else is paid by what, the state of New Jersey, by the county in November?
It's depending on the ballot, but you would say the county. They would do all the publications. The only thing that I would have responsibility doing is accepting the candidate packets and preparing those and verifying those. So it's just time. If you want to look at it,
So less than $3,000 in theory.
Yes.
Versus the 75,000.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Okay. So I wanted to, in your, deliberations, consideration of this, I wanted to explain what entails the changing of a date of your election, which is permitted for nonpartisan elections in New Jersey, in the Uniform Partisan Elections Law. So the governing body can change their date by ordinance and choose to hold a regular municipal election on the day of the general election, which was the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. And to do so, you'd have to pass an ordinance. The other option would be to have a non-binding referendum on the ballot. All municipalities in New Jersey have the right to the non-binding referendum just to gauge the sentiment of the voters. It's not binding the governing body to act upon it. And just so we understand, we were to consider moving. I wanted to give you some timelines on a non-binding referendum, so you had more information on your hands. So if we wanted to do non-binding, we would adopt an ordinance. I believe we could do a resolution too. We've done that for a question, but I could check with the county clerk. But let's just say an ordinance for now, because it would be the most time. And we would request the county clerk to place the question on the ballot. So let's look ahead for our November 5th, 2024 election. I would have to certify to the county no later than 81 days prior to the November 5th election, which would be Friday, August 16th, 2024. So what I figured in was our 20-day estoppel period that we have under our form of government. Every has to cure for 20 days before it goes into effect for the voters to act. So that estoppel period moves back to July 27th. We haven't set our at the next meeting, I'll be providing you with the proposed meeting dates going forward, but we don't have our set July and August meeting dates after July 1st. But, obviously we'd have to probably, if that would be the thing, we've introduced July 1st. We do have that scheduled meeting in July, our first meeting. So, if the municipal election is changed, I wanted you to understand what that entails once the decision is made. It is not permitted to change the day of the election back to the second Tuesday in May until at least 10 years have passed since the adoption of the ordinance changing the date of the municipal election to November. And that governing body would need to adopt a new ordinance, providing that the regular municipal elections occur on the second Tuesday in May, where they do now. That would need to be adopted by the governing body. Oops, and I do have that here, sorry. So 10 years after the date of the adoption of the ordinance, not the date of the election. So what would that mean for those up in election, for election in 2025? So the term of any person in office on the date of the adoption of such an ordinance shall be extended until the beginning of the term of the person elected to that office on the day of the general election in November. That makes sense. The three would have another couple months in office. So November, the winner, the people in that win that election obviously would take their seats in the reorganization meeting in January. And one of the things I wanted you to also know is where you would appear, where the township would appear on a ballot as a nonpartisan community on a November general election. Oops. So because we're nonpartisan and because the November election has the lines for Democratic, Republican, and a presidential or even a state election, they will have other parties listed as well. Verona would be at the end. A nonpartisan community would be at the end of that ballot, which could be on the other side, but it would be a way so that you could list them properly like a nonpartisan and not confuse them with a other type of party. Board of Education, to November, Board of Education would come after the municipality. And then questions, if they ever were to appear on a ballot, would be after that. So depending on the election year. And so given that, I just wanted to provide a little bar graph of voter turnout in years 2017 and 2021. The turnout was a little bit higher in the November elections. It was a governor's election year. And in 19 and 23, those were, the state office elections. So just to see at a glance the turnout on that day. Oops, we're going this way. So that's all. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to hear.
Anybody have any questions? This is kind of just questions. Deputy Mayor Macklin. Sure.
Thank you. Jen, just real quick, the county prints all the ballots, correct?
No, I'm sorry, I should have explained that more. We have to hire a. Sure.
Okay.
And they print all the ballots, the emergency ballots, the provisional ballots, vote by mail ballot,
Every
sample
town does
ballots. Every town does that on our municipal, on a nonpartisan level, yes, if they're holding their May election.
And you said we do ours in odd years. Are there any other nonpartisan in even years?
Yeah.
In Essex County?
Yeah, there are. We just had Montclair, Nutley, Belleville, Orange.
A lot.
So would that lower cost if we did it in the even years? Rather than, I mean, I know there's still a cost, but just a question,
They do,
because you said our cost
No.
is broken up, you know. If
we did even
let's say
and
we
Grove
cut
up
out,
on that.
Cedar Grove and South Orange would probably go up.
It would in the food category, maybe some staff, maybe the police, sheriff's
So
officers,
minimal.
minimal from, in my opinion.
And would that be the same if we, because I'm Atlantic District 10.
Yes,
There's only one there now, because we moved one of the polling to Claridge.
right.
If we combined into, let's say, community center, we have multiple rooms up there, say on a Tuesday, and just combine, say, 6 districts, you all go to the community center.
Talking about redistricting or just for that election?
No, you can keep the districts, but the districts.
So they have to-
area Go to the community center,
R-
and plus we're taking them out of
Yeah.
schools.
Right, and so what you're saying, we'd have to redistrict first and then do that, but you can't go further than 100 feet outside of your voting district to vote. So we'd have to kind of keep that in mind. It was very difficult. I've done some of the project to see, we would utilize churches. Again, and that would be a special request of the governor. It's been done to get them out, but I mean, a lot of people have asked about, why can't we just have a super polling location at the community center where everybody votes there? And
That's kind of what I was thinking, because especially now with mail-in ballots, it's taken a lot of people out of going to polling places, so
that's,
even if we go to
understood.
November, and we do November,
so
we still combine.
what I'm gauging that, I mean, I used to have an answer, but now I think with early voting at the community center, it's a pretty good idea of what that would look like. So the highest turnout we've ever had in Verona since in the last 20 years is 74% in the 2016 election. There was 78% turnout in 2020, but that was an all vote by mail during COVID. So we kind of don't even count that. 74% of people one day voting. Well, I don't see how the community center can accommodate that.
I mean, a couple different, like,
Well, we would have to redistrict and then see, but then you'd have to take into account the most important aspect of the election law in the state is voter convenience. The convenience of the voter is paramount. And we would have to have, all ADA accessible, and ample parking, etc. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's just a formula, in a way, because a lot of things to consider.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilman.
You mentioned the minimum staffing. Is that per polling location or per district?
It's per district, not per polling location. So it's in your district, if you have more than 900 voters, it's mandatory you have 6 poll workers and it's full day.
6 poll workers per district though? So where you have a polling location where you have 2 or 3 districts voting at one polling location, if you have 2 districts, you have to have 6 people there, or you have to have 12?
If you have 2 districts, you have 12 people. You should have 12 people. It says by law, you have 12 people. What happened in our municipal election is people didn't show up. So we had the county send poll workers up to work. They also had, I offered 2 to sit here and wait, but we didn't. We
So-
can't have them going over. You can't have the poll workers working both districts. It's an accountability issue, especially now, with the way they vote, but I know that some people have considered or asked about a half day working polls, half days, and you need the accountability at the beginning and the end of the day, especially with the printout of ballots they all sign. attesting to certain things, and so it's just the way the law's written. I could tell you the statute.
So we have 18 at the high school, we have 12
Yeah.
at Lanning.
Yes.
6 at,
No, 6 at Lanning,
One,
6 at Lanning, 6 at Claridge. Yeah, we have 18 at the high school.
right, and that's where I think more the driving question is about the districts is, you know, why do we need 11 separate districts, or why can't this aspect of this be fixed? It doesn't make any, with vote by mail being so prevalent, does it make sense to have 18 people at the high school?
By statute, it does.
By statute, not in reality.
But a lot of the election law isn't really,
Is this something where we could ask for a waiver of some sort?
I
Just
wouldn't.
make a point of just our in-person polling numbers on the municipal elections must be pretty minimal.
Yeah, but on election day, I know it appears that they're not doing a lot, but then, at 8:30 in the morning, or, 12:30 lunch pickup for kids, or 5 o'clock, they start to get busier. And all those poll workers are utilized and are working. We have usually, especially now with the poll books, we could have 2 poll books in one machine. Machines are mandated by the number of, we don't need to have any two machines at any polling location for one district, but we can have 2 polling books to keep it moving. And if they do, you need to have 2 poll workers working there. It's all about checks and balances. You really don't want to get anybody saying that, one political party is overtaking the election process. So we would have one from each party sitting at a sign-in table for the poll board.
And why do we have 11 districts in I mean, the number I think it's
Because that when it was first done that way, it was done to keep it where you would have only one machine per district. So once you have more than it's 1,500 or 1,800 people in a polling location in one district, then you need to add a second machine. Second machine is more poll workers. So the idea then was to keep it below. So we have 12,000 just over 12,000 registered voters. If we redistrict, I think they would try to at least do the same 10 or 11. Just to keep the machines, minimal. They cost a lot, especially.
Thank you. One thing you didn't talk about that is a difference with this May election is now we have early voting for the June primary and the November general election. The way the statute is written, my understanding is it's so cost prohibitive. We would have to bear all the costs of early voting, so we can't even offer early voting. This is just to do voting on one day. My point is for the voting experience for the resident. We are now staying with May election is now a different voter experience. Voters are being kind of trained or educated to now have the ability to early vote on the June and November elections, where early voting is starting on Wednesday, May the 29th for the primary, which is on June 4th. But now for May, we're going to have there's going to be a bifurcation. We're not going to be able to talk about early voting. The voters won't understand that. Some people may not apply for a vote by mail ballot thinking they can early vote.
Right.
They may be inadvertently disenfranchised because of the way the state structured it by passing all the costs on to the municipality. Would you agree with that?
When you use disenfranchise, it's difficult to argue, knowing that the county and the state, even the courts, will always concede to the voters' convenience. The convenience of the voter is if you look at the election law, it's repeated over and over.
Yeah. It's just going to be very hard to stay with May and keep the voter education piece, that now there's a difference in how voting is conducted on that election. Because the early voting now is a big difference.
Right.
So I just wanted to raise that.
Okay.
Jen, when you're talking about the machines before, so you said we have 11 districts because having a machine is more expensive, but wouldn't having a second machine actually be less expensive than having an entirely additional polling place? Because you need to have minimum 6 staff members, right, or 5 staff members to run another district. But how many, but you'd only need probably.
It's
what,
not
two?
for, charging for us, it's the county to pay for.
But we
the
still, my point is, we still need the machine, right? So let's say we combine districts 1 and 2. I'm not saying,
Okay.
of course, we're doing this, whatever. We combine districts 1 and 2. Right now, we're paying for 2 machines because we have to have 1 per district, and we're paying for 12 polling staff.
Right.
If we combine them and still have 2 machines, we wouldn't need 12 polling staff anymore. We need what, 8?
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
That would be, the county board of elections does the redistricting. I mean, So
Certainly
it's-
if we stated our desires to.
we have,
cost, they might-
you can only redistrict because of the census in years ending with a 4, 5, 6, 7. We already lost this year. And they're not gonna continue thinking about it because of these special elections that we have coming all the way through the end of the year. I've explained that to them. There are some conversations that I've been looking forward to having with them and explaining certain points that I think they might need to consider. Maybe that would be one of them. I would certainly give them as much information and as much input as I could. And so, I mean, yes, I could do that, but at the same time, they would need to purchase the machines. And I know that right now they're low staffed on, I mean, they're low on machines because the governor says you have to have certain machines for training. And now we have all these, you have to quarantine the machines after an election for 30 days before it's certified but it's definitely something I understand. I understand, okay, yes, and then you just have like,
Buying more machines.
you would have 3,000 people at a voting district, right? Man, I would totally bring that to them.
That would certainly be,
I mean, I do have a list of points that I would like to bring to them, so I would definitely add that on there, because that's a decent point.
yeah, I think before developing an opinion on this topic, to explore all of the information as far as, because that could potentially save the county money as well for all these other elections that they're running, as far as polling staff and stuff like that. If we're having a difficult time finding polling staff, it might be make sense to consolidate. As
If, sorry, no, go ahead.
Gotcha.
No, I don't want to throw anything out that I'm not sure about, so.
Councilman McGrath, do you have a question?
Well, more of a comment. I thought there was an upper, end of a limit on the size of the election districts, because I know in North Caldwell, they had so many people voting in one district that the county did redistrict them and split them for this upcoming election. So I understand the sentiment of like, can't we consolidate some of the 11 so we could be at 9 or 10? Won't that lower costs? But I think there are rules on the other side that these districts can't be that big.
I don't know of any statute that talks about the limit. Not to say that one doesn't exist, because there are a lot of statutes.
Yeah.
You would have to take into consideration, again, convenience of the voter, parking. So if you do have 2,500 registered voters, the county's not going to say, well, you average 40% turnout, so we're only going to count 40% of the voters. They work with the maximum. It could have been something like that, but again, I can reach out to the Board of Elections specifically on that issue and get an answer before the end of the week.
Right.
And I could talk to I wish Kevin was here because he would know the answer to North Caldwell, but I can reach out to the municipal clerk.
Yeah.
It was,
I think
get
it's
answers for you guys.
based on some sort of limit on how many people actually voted in past elections. And once it reaches over a threshold, the election district needed to be split. That was my understanding.
Well, I know that
We'll
to
find out the exact
redistrict,
answer
the
from the Board of Elections.
right, to redistrict though, it's if there's a large disparity in among your districts, then it calls for redistricting, and that is something that I would like to point out to the Board of Elections. So, thank you.
That would be a question I would like to have answered, because I'm looking at like a West Orange. Like, how many districts are in West Orange if they limit how many people can be in a district?
I
The
think,
amount of people or nothing, just.
like, we have very little districts, they're 25, 35,
Yeah.
Livingston is a lot too.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact numbers, but I know that when I talk to them, I can't imagine getting election night, but it's different here. But
I don't disagree. If it's easier for, it's not even for me, it's convenience and voter turnout. If moving into November will get a higher turnout, then, maybe I'd be for it, but I'm looking at general and municipal here in 23, they're pretty close. It's only 2% difference. So like that's what I look at when it comes to this. Weigh our options after we, answer some of these.
Yeah, when we have state voting,
Mhm.
a lot of people aren't even aware that there's an election. A lot of people don't realize that we have an election every November, no matter what,
A lot don't know there's a
primary.
coming up in June.
Okay,
Right.
thanks.
So, excuse me, point of order, Matt, are we gonna have a discussion now? Cause we were just questioning.
I
Can we have discussion at this time?
think I would schedule a discussion for this once we have all of the answers to the questions they've asked. Discussion. That makes sense before we spend time on that. We'll schedule a close.
I can have answers for the next meeting.
Perfect. Very much. And just to clarify, Jen, we don't need to have a referendum, right? If we want to take.
Sorry, no, there are two options that you have. I
We can
just
just-
wanted to make sure.
We just get an ordinance, but the referendum's not necessary. Okay. All right, next up is our council report. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. They left, but congratulations to Christopher and Luca. Job well done. Very impressive resumes coming out of high school. So it's very nice to have them here. We did have a historic preservation meeting, unofficial because they didn't have a quorum. I'm gonna put it out. I'm gonna ask the public information officer this week to put something out. We need volunteers for historic preservation, among other groups and organizations in town. So if you have an interest in historic preservation, we could really use, I think we're 2 members, someone just stepped aside, and they're actually thinking, I will bring this up with the rest of council and mayor and manager, of asking to, if they do fill those positions quickly, to maybe expand the mission, because they would like to maybe get another 2 members on it. And then the only other thing I have is, mentioned by the mayor already, I'd like to thank Unico for their Sunday dinner yesterday. Not only do they obviously do a lot of good for this town and donate a lot of money to organizations, it's really good cooks. It was all homemade food, so it was an enjoyable, as it always is. I want to everyone an enjoyable Sunday afternoon. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Roman.
I will wait my time to see.
Thank you, Councilman McGrath.
Thank you. I just want to start off with a brief remembrance of a lifelong Verona resident who passed away after a short illness. Her name was Christina Ford, and she was a mom and an advocate for equality. And I just wanted to highlight her service here in Verona. She and her wife were the first gay couple to be married in Verona. She really thought to make sure that her family was able to be fully included in all of Verona life. And she served as an example to all of us on how to really kind of push forward in a way that was very inclusive and kind, but made sure that she made this town a better place. She spoke up on the school level multiple times to make sure that the language on forms didn't say mom and dad, but it said parent. She pushed for our first Pride flag raising. She was on our diversity and equity and inclusion subcommittee. And she always was here at the council speaking up on issues relating to equality and fairness. And I just want to thank her for her legacy. Her passing is very much going to be missed amongst a large community of parents and friends in Verona. And we will mark her passing at our annual Pride event, which we're so excited for, which will be on Saturday, June the 8th at 11 a.m. We're going to have our flag raising. There'll be ice cream, there'll be music. The high school jazz choir is coming and crafts, so I hope the community can join us in a joyful celebration of equality here in Verona. I had several meetings since our last, the Neighborhood Traffic and Safety Committee met, they are developing a complete streets policy. They hope to get to the council this fall. They do need members to join the committee. So if you're thinking of volunteer service here in Verona, that's a great place to start. The Shade Tree Committee is also in need of alternate members. So if you're passionate about trees, that's a great committee. They discussed their windshield survey and the upcoming some of the challenges that we have with tree trimming, which will be resolved tonight on our agenda. And that they're very focused on their safety analysis, so that's what they're working on now. And the Multicultural Inclusion and Accessibility Advisory Committee will be meeting on Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Zoom, where they will be discussing their upcoming Pride celebration that they're planning, and some work for Disability Pride Month, which is in July. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Holler.
Thank you. I also want to thank Councilwoman McGrath for her remarks about Christina Ford. I too just want to mark her passing and acknowledge that she was a very powerful force in the community, well loved by many. And it is a tremendous loss, not only to our community, but to her family that she is gone too soon. So my heart goes out to her family and friends. And I just want them to know that, I'm thinking of them. In addition, I want to acknowledge that the Recreation Advisory Committee has a meeting tomorrow night, and that meeting is a very large agenda. We will be joined by our CFO to talk at length about recreation finances. So if anybody's interested in a community pool or any of the other recreation spending, there's going to be a detailed discussion of that. In addition, I want to acknowledge that it is the end of the school year and there are a tremendous amount of school events. And now with the weather being beautiful, kids are out. So I just want to acknowledge the crossing guards and what an amazing job they are doing, because there are kids everywhere. And especially in my neighborhood where there is a lot of road work being done. I just really want to thank the crossing guards for all of their hard work. And finally, I just want to acknowledge the Girl Scouts Heart of New Jersey had me at their See Her, Be Her career fair, where I was joined by their CEO, Natasha Hemmings, and others to discuss career opportunities for young women. And it was a tremendous afternoon at Stevens Institute, where there was definitely a number of presentations in the STEM field and others. And I was there to talk about my own personal experiences with a lot of very eager girls who I think are a tremendous asset to the state of New Jersey and our larger community. So I just can't wait to see these girls grow up. So thank you. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you. I just have one additional item. The mayor's report. I'll not be in person at the next meeting. I will be calling in on Zoom, which has been prepared by Attorney Deputy Mayor McAvoy will be presiding. I will be participating in the meeting. I will be doing professional development for work. And we'll be missing several events in the first week in June, including the Pride Festival and several things in the park, because I'm not anywhere near this side of the country. But I thank Deputy Mayor for stepping into me on all of those events. All right, that concludes our council member reports. I'll open to public comment on any item anybody would like to talk about. Madam Clerk, would you please read the public participation statement?
Anyone wish to address any item, please raise your hand. If you're attending via Zoom, you may do so by pressing the raise hand button on your monitor. If you're joining by phone, press *9. If you're attending in person, you may please raise your hand, be invited to approach the lectern. When you're recognized and advised if you're unmuted, state your name and township for the record. You'll have 4 minutes to address the council. Your comments and or questions will be addressed at the end of the public period. If you do provide your address, please note that these meetings are reposted on the Township's YouTube channel, and the addresses will not be redacted for any purpose. All right.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. would like to come up, you could just come on up, you don't need to raise your hand. State your name and your township residence, please.
Good evening, council members. Hi, neighbors. My name is Anna Fusaro, and I live on Woodland Avenue. I live across the street from where this building is going to be built. I attended a meeting last week about this building. I have many concerns about the location of the building, the size of the building, the look of the building, etc. I would like to speak to these concerns at a separate, dedicated meeting where more townspeople can know about the meeting and can attend the meeting, hopefully having been notified by mail about the meeting. I'd like the council members in attendance at that meeting as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good, Verona, New Jersey. I also attended the meeting last week on the new public services billing. And some of the concerns I have are about the notifications and how they were handled, walking the dog in the neighborhood, just as a conversational standpoint. A lot of neighbors were not aware of the meeting. I think it's important that everyone not only be made aware and given the opportunity to attend the meeting, but also to understand the importance of this project. And in the meeting, when I asked the voting time frame on this development, I was told June. And a 5-week notification on a bonding project of this magnitude, which is probably the largest bonding project to come before this town since the water treatment plant, needs more than 5 weeks. And everyone in the should have an opportunity to understand the importance of it and the impact of it. So my request to the council, as my neighbors, is for a separate public meeting, proper public notification for everyone to understand the project and have an opportunity to.
Anybody else? Okay, anybody at home? Okay, seeing none, I'll close public comment. Mr. Diarco, would you like to jump in on how people were notified of the meeting?
Yes. On this meeting, a GIS system was used on all the residential in the quadrant, which was in your report, was sent out. But this was meeting number 3 of the community in our outreach process. The first meeting was with the large population of the Claridge, which included all of the residents of the Claridge. Then there was a meeting with the Junior Women's Club and the Women's Club. Then there was a meeting with the Lions Club membership and anyone they wanted to bring. And then the neighborhood, which was across the street. I think what was misinterpreted was I said the next meeting would be in June. We haven't selected the date for a town-wide meeting. This was all part of the process of public information. As the council is aware, this has been going on since 2022. It started with police headquarters, which was the first charge in searching land with the Committee of Police, Fire, and Rescue. And then there was no available land that the town owned, which I explained at the meeting. And I had authorization to go purchase land. There were a number of options up which didn't fit. And the property on Fountain that came up was 2 pieces of property adjacent to each other, which then accommodated the potential to accommodate all 3 services, which the council is aware that you're struggling with building 3 facilities, and the economy of scale of building 1 building would, needless to say, save the taxpayer. And yes, it is a large project. The residents asked of different locations. I indicated I'm open to any suggestion on other properties that they think are suitable. We could look at those too, but the committees that were put together, your police, fire, rescue, that know the town better than I do and know their response times, know their emergency call times. Compton seemed to fit everyone's need. It came up for sale. I haven't had any other suggestions, except there was a suggestion from that meeting to build it on Everett Field. I tried to explain that Everett Field is dedicated to the community as a park. And one resident indicated that there was nobody from the family around. I looked into that. That's not correct. There is heirs to that property. And if you built anything but a park, it would be reverted. There was also a suggestion of buying the manor in West Orange, which would be too far away. I literally would look at any suggestion. There was a suggestion to buy Decozen facilities, since the fire department was there. That's one of your larger taxpayers. And I don't think you could buy that for the $1 million we spent on the other property. But the meeting that was stated in, that's going to be held in June, is the townwide meeting. We haven't picked a date because we have to coordinate with the community center. And yes, the public information officer would be doing an aggressive notification to the public. We have the newsletter that's online. We have the GIS system targeting. We have whatever else we can employ to let the public know that this is happening. But that would be the next meeting for public information and the public information venue. So we don't run into, I didn't know, trying our best to get to everyone in the community by having multiple meetings with segments of the community.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, public comment is over for now. There'll be another public comment period at the end of the meeting. I hear the residents' concerns. And understand. I haven't had the opportunity to watch the video from last week, but and it was pretty lengthy meeting, from what I understand, and that there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of discussion. Frankly, probably more that can happen at a public council meeting. What I would encourage residents, I know we got a summary of what the administration noted as major concerns, so they have provided that to us. What I would encourage all residents to do is send us your concerns as well. There's a form online that sends it to everybody. You can get them in writing, and you can speak at the council meetings for 4 minutes and share some of those concerns as well and follow up. I encourage everybody to do that. We want that, for this council is very responsive to public comment. And there were some items that were recounted to me from the other meeting that I think are reasonable suggestions. I'll give for an example. I don't like the outside design of that building either, and I was never going to approve it. Right, so it's not going to get my vote. It's just but the exterior of a building is something that we can change. And that's the least of our, right? The building has to be designed to meet the needs of the services and of the community. But I do encourage. We did have lengthy presentations on the building in previous council meetings, and we had public comment during those meetings as well. The problem with having the council as an entirety at a meeting is it has to be advertised as well as meeting. There are certain rules and restrictions apply. In reality, we do get the video to watch. We are processing everybody's concerns. I recommend, if you have specific ones, to reach out to us. The difficulty is we want you to be able to have more of a back and forth with the administration, with the architect, and that's not really something that we can do in this venue because we have established bylaws and procedures. So for the townwide meeting, I encourage everybody to show up. We did not show up at that meeting because we didn't want to. We showed up at that meeting we didn't show up so you could have it. In fact, we weren't even invited because it creates a problem if we're all there because we're policymakers, decision makers in the room. So that back and forth that you're able to have with Mr. Messinio and Mr. Diarco, and get some input from the chief officers that were there. The meeting was probably very productive in getting a lot of those concerns out. I can echo what Mr. Diarco said about this being, Mr. Diarco's worked for us for a little over 2 years. It was one of the first things that he was set up to do. There are also other investigations of buildings and property in prior years. that didn't come to fruition. In fact, the township tried to buy a piece of property, years ago, and true. But at the same point, we want to hear the concerns, and encourage you to keep showing up those meetings. But if you have specific things that you think might get missed if we watch the video, please send it to us in writing. We are demanding as a council, especially of our administration, and they do answer the questions if we can zone in on those things. But I appreciate you coming to the meeting because it's important, and I would hope that in addition to the general broadcast notifications, that perhaps we could send mail letters or have the DPW hand deliver, or we have summer DPW help right now that's getting paid hourly. Have them come in and just deliver door to door, at least in the neighborhood surrounding Cambridge neighborhoods and Vincent and Woodland and Linden and Franklin, and I mean I can name every street, but you get the idea. In that radius, I think especially on that side, and also know that people in other neighborhoods have concerns that your neighborhood will be much safer than theirs, as far as because of the location of the building, right? So there are other people that have concerns about the building being too far from them, and we are hearing those, and that is becoming part of discussions. Anybody else have anything? Jeff, Deputy Mayor, I'm sorry.
So the ask from Mrs. Fazaro and Mr. Good was for another meeting townwide. And we're saying we're doing this in June. If we can, in the next couple of days, lock that day in, because we just said earlier how busy June is. Everybody can set their schedule, so we give them an ample amount of time to set their schedule. I just want to touch on, you talked about how the reason why we can't be there. I know that came up during the meeting. I did watch the meeting. As far as Everett Field goes, that came up, and if someone was pretty adamant about putting it there, it cannot go there because Everett Field has been deed restricted. And as Mr. Diarco said, there are some of the ancestors that still live in Verona. And there's others that live in North Carolina, California, and they do come in and visit us. So that's the reason why we can't go there. It's been tried in the past. And I believe that's it. I know there was one other point, but I will get back to it.
Councilman Brad.
Thank you. I just want to echo what the mayor said. I am very interested in hearing resident input, and there is a convenient form on the website where it says contact the entire council, and it goes to all 5 of us. We did have only one substantial conversation in public about the design as a council, and it was our first time seeing it. So we have not even had a chance to comment yet on its design. And so we are still very early in this process. We're getting a lot of feedback, and I do encourage your frank feedback back to us and your concerns, and to spread the word. I am disappointed that there wasn't a flyering of everyone in 200 feet. I think that was maybe a small misstep, but we do have the larger public meeting, and I echo all of my we would really love to be at these meetings, and we're kind of forbidden to be so, but it allows for that more direct dialogue. But there are, this is a very big project. This is transformative. I think you mentioned something about the sewer treatment plant. This is really big. And we really do need resident input. So if you can spread that word, we really need people to tell us what they're thinking and feeling. And we have not yet shared the cost. And so when that is public, then we have to have another round of very robust conversation. So please reach out to us. I really encourage, the direct dialogue, and we'll go from there. So, and there is more public comment tonight. So if you wait to the end, you can.
Shortly.
Yeah, shortly. Yeah, I hope so. But we can have more conversation. So thank you.
I'll ask Mr. Aloya maybe if he can comment on, are we not supposed to attend these meetings? Are we precluded from participating? Is this something we could do as a notice public meeting? What are our options for better engagement?
Sure. So as the manager indicated, you do have a townwide meeting coming up that you'll all participate in, right? That'll be a public meeting.
Yeah, there's a notice public meeting.
So that'll be a notice public meeting. But these smaller meetings are more to get the word out in preparation for the large meeting. And as the council knows, and has been said by your fellow council people, no, you cannot attend that, 3 or more of you can't attend because that's considered a council meeting, which means you can't, 3 of you can't meet, at a restaurant and talk business because that's considered a council meeting. So it's best to stay away. And then when you show up, it's very difficult to separate yourself from your position. So then there's, it's best to be left to the manager to get the word out. And then you will have meetings. The public is free to come anytime they want and doing public participation. They also have the communication as been described, the written communication, and then there'll be plenty of opportunity during not only that public meeting, but the other public meetings. If you guys approve to go forward, there'll be readings of bond ordinances, there'll be resolutions, all types of decisions, whether it be based upon how the building looks, the outside, the inside. There's plenty of time to review.
I'll offer also just some commentary on the building appearance. This was an interesting topic that came up during the design of the Verona Flats, it's going up near the community center. The original design that came in for those was a very modern design. It's all, boxes and squares and so on. And it was pretty resoundingly rejected by the planning board under the opinion that very striking modern architecture tends not to match the community. And I'm wondering if this is something that we are running into. These are what you saw were concept drawings originally. They're not actual construction plans at this point. There are floor plans on the inside, but it's not set in stone what the facade looks like. And if it's the same sort of opinion, one of the problems we keep running into, I saw on the planning board for my entire term up here, is that Verona does not have a clearly identifiable architectural style. I always use like Montclair as an example as Tudor style architecture. Montclair State University is all Spanish revival. We've never ever been able to really define what the look of Verona is because it's so eclectic. And so when architects design buildings in this town, they have a very hard time sort of honing in on what should it look like. And I tend to agree. I mean, the one thing that tends to fail a lot or tends not to hold up tends to be very modern architecture. So I'm not happy with the facade of the building as I've seen it. And, fortunately, it's not at a final stage. And I would encourage a lot of participation, regardless of what the overall footprint shape, everything about the facility is, the look of it is certainly something that needs a lot of community input. So I would encourage you to be specific about that. And would just like to say hello to all of my neighbors that it's very nice to see you here.
Mr. Jericho, could you clarify the June meeting? Are you intending that to be a special council meeting?
No, it was a community meeting, another stage in the public information.
That's what I thought. The
Yes.
Mr. White said something maybe.
And
I apologize. Thanks for clearing that up. I did make eye contact, so I thought I read it.
that's the biggest meeting. We had all little pocket ones. And just so the public knows, the reason I have staff taking notes, and I have it filmed, is so the council is getting exactly what the public says, not me because I'm too busy trying to answer questions. So staff is taking notes, and the council did get the video as well as the notes from the public information officer. But on the point of information to the public, and it was reported to you, and I think it's important for the public to know that the rave system was used for 0.25 mile radius of the project of approximately 114 residents opted into the rave system. So I also encourage everyone that's not, when you go up on the town website, you get that alert to register in. So we send all kinds of notices to the community, but we're trying every avenue we can think of to get information out to the public about meetings, about projects, road work, whatever it is. And the council is fully aware of everything. It's not interpreted by me. They have to see the meetings that we're filming. We're trying to get as much information out to you.
For the next meeting, we can drop.
Yeah, we'll do every suggestion. I'm big on it, whatever suggestion it is, and we'll try it. Outside of everything we've been doing, we'll just add the flyer system to check.
Thank you. Councilman Hall.
So I would just recommend that we also double check the tax records because we can get the 200-foot list that way too. So we can compare that to the alert Verona list going forward. So when he's referencing the rave system, he's referencing the alert Verona system. So if you've ever gotten the email or the text message, that's what he's referencing. So I do encourage anybody who's not getting those to get them because it is very helpful occasionally when there are road closures or other emergencies that do happen in town. Separately, I do just want to echo what several of my colleagues have stated. It is tremendously important for you to be engaged in this public process, and you are still very, very early. So you are not late to this. Decisions have not been made, as you can see from my colleagues. So what I do encourage you to do is to document it, email, attend meetings, and be present. The townwide meeting, thank you for clarifying that, because that was very confusing to me, because I didn't have a special meeting on my calendar. And so the townwide meeting will be where you can have a very frank and candid conversation with our administration, and they are the ones that run the day-to-day operations of the town, and we are like your board of directors, right? So you're going to get the most earnest feedback from our officials that are running this project. And I really do encourage your frank and candid engagement with them in that process. And we do have an opportunity to review that, and we are very engaged. And I do endeavor to respond to every single email that comes into inbox from residents. We're not necessarily always going to agree on everything like that, but I will give you the respect of responding to you as much as possible. And if you don't get the response from me personally, if you sent it to the entire council, you'll get a response from the administration or others. So you should always be heard. And I just really want to encourage that engagement in this process. So thank you so much for being here tonight. And I look forward to hearing more from you as this process goes on. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Okay, we are moving on to hearing adoption of ordinances. Madam Clerk, the next item on the agenda is ordinance 2024-19, which please read the title of this ordinance.
Bond ordinance providing for the improvement of the water and sewer utility system in by the Township of Verona in the County of Essex, New Jersey, creating $260,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $247,500 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Council Roman, a second by Councilwoman McGrath. Now it's time for the public hearing. Ordinance number 24-19. The same public comment statement as before applies. However, public comment is limited to this ordinance. Public comment. Being none, I'll close the public hearing. Any council discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Rowland,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor ordinance 2024-19 passes 5-0 and it will be duly posted according to law.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item on the agenda is number 2024-20, which please be the title of this ordinance into the record.
Bond ordinance providing for the improvement of the big pool for the pool utility in and by the Township of Verona in the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $350,000, therefore authorizing the issuance of $333,000 bond for notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Somebody move this ordinance.
So
I'm going to give this one to Councilman Holland.
Second.
The second will be like. Now it's time for the public hearing on ordinance number 2024-20. Same public comment statement applies, limited to this ordinance. Seeing no public comments, I will close the public hearing. And as far as council discussion, the chair recognizes Councilman McGrath.
Thank you. I'm really excited that we are finally appropriating money to reline the big pool. We do get comments in our survey every year about the roughness of the bottom, and it's certainly a problem. And the fact that we're passing this now so that we can plan it out and do this project in the fall is just really smart. And so I think this is obviously necessary maintenance to keep our pool asset appropriate and running, and I'm really excited. So thank you.
Great. Councilwoman Holland.
thank you. I echo those statements. I know many a child that's nearly lost a toe at the bottom of the big pool. So I do think it's an important thing to do. I also just want to acknowledge that, you know, doing these ongoing maintenance projects and having a larger asset management plan for the pool utility is a really important aspect of what I understand the administration is undertaking. And I know that the Recreation Committee is very engaged in this discussion. So I think, you know, this is very good forward progress. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman. Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor ordinance 2024-22 passes 5-0 will be published according to the minutes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2024-21 on second reading. Would you please read the title of this ordinance?
Bond ordinance providing for the improvement of the water and sewer utility system and by the Township of Verona in the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $8,406,000 therefore, authorizing the issuance of $8,406,000 bonds or notes. Township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I will move this ordinance. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
The second is by the Deputy Mayor. Now it's time for the public hearing on ordinance number 2024-21. A public comment statement. I will close public comment. Council discussion. I do want to add a couple comments in here for the public edification. It's an $8.4 million expenditure. The cost of this project was included in our rate study. So rate study that we and the rates that we passed a few months ago to account for the costs on the debt for these bonds. We are solving some pretty significant long time problems. The first being the clarifier pump station, which is one of Councilman Woman's favorite things in this municipality. The second is the other screens and improvement of UV disinfection systems. We have to do this in order to run our utility. And finally, solving the supply issue to Claridge Drive, which is a significant health and safety issue that is finally being addressed. So I thank the administration for getting this all on and the forward thinking, starting to forward think on moving forward through the rate study and such. Councilman Roman.
The mayor got that backwards. My favorite part is the item B, the micro screens. So this project, again, just, you know, to give some history on it because it is such a large project. The micro screens and the UV disinfection system at the plant are severely deteriorated to the point where they are physically falling apart, and the parts for them are not available. They've been having to fabricate pieces for this. The wastewater treatment plant team has done a very amazing job in keeping this system up and running for as long as they have, but it is long past its useful life. And in order to comply with our permit, we do very much need to replace it. So I'm very glad to see us moving forward with this, as well as the Claridge Drive pump, which will solve a long running water pressure issue in the community. So glad to see that as well. My one concern is, I brought this up last time around, was on our construction estimating for the clarifier station. Obviously, there's a supplemental allocation here to the original bond allocation. The deputy township manager did send me detail on the total cost of the project. So I appreciate it, and I recognize this is the actual cost of doing this, but we made sort of an estimating miss here of, you know, basically 100%. We had budgeted half of what this actually was. And it's kind of hard to manage your capital budget when, you know, these projects come in so far over for fairly large projects. So I do track these things every now and then. We do miss like this. And I would just like to encourage us as we develop these larger projects, and now as we have more engineering experience on board in the township, that accurate estimating or trying to go out and get better costing information is very valuable and helpful to us as we try and manage this, you know, all of our very large capital commitments. Just for future planning, I'm happy to support it, but I do kind of flag that would be a little, you know, we were kind of over on that one.
Someone.
Thank you. I would agree with Councilman Roman, but I just want to recognize that our administrator, Mr. Diarco, inherited this project from previous administration and engineers. He has brought in really great experts that are actually getting us to the point where we do accurately estimate projects. This is such an old project. This predated our manager and our current engineers. This is our other engineer where frankly, we have had a lot of things that had to be worked out that were started under previous administrations. I just want to note that. And also, I just want to really thank Councilwoman Holland. It's because of her leadership that we took projects that, and this whole sewer and water utility was really kind of stuck and underinvested in. And it was her advocacy to get us as a council back on track. Her insistence that we follow the law and do an asset management plan, that we do a rate study, that's tied to a whole strategic analysis. So I do really want to thank you, Councilwoman Holland. It is a lot of money. It's very painful to raise water rates. I just got my water bill like everyone else, but we are getting these necessary safety, water and sewer safety issues. Finally, we have the money that we're setting aside to pay for them to do critical infrastructure projects. And we're really getting to the point where we need to be, and then we can start being proactive looking forward. So thank you so much. Those are my questions.
Councilwoman?
Thank you. I just want to thank the administration for moving forward with these projects, for bringing in new gen strategies to do such a detailed rate study based on the asset management plan, and to actually be bringing us into compliance and making the necessary investments in our community, right? Because our public infrastructure is our largest investment, and it's important to maintain it. We wouldn't, you don't buy a new car and then never change the oil, and so it's really important for us to be continuing to invest and maintain our facilities for our residents. So I just want to thank you. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, you're up.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor ordinance 2024-22, I'm sorry, -21, passes 5-0, be published according to law, but be published according to law.
Thanks, Madam Clerk. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2024-22. Second reading, would you please read the title of this ordinance?
Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in by the Township of Verona in the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $3,110,000, therefore, including a $75,000 local recreation grant expected to be received, authorizing the issuance of $2,978,725 bonds in Township to finance part of the cost.
Thank you, Clerk. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Also, motion is made by Councilman McGrath. The second is by Councilman Roman. I will now it's time for the public hearing on ordinance number 2024-22. Same public comment statement applies. I will close public comment. I will make a couple of just general comments just for the public education. This is an omnibus plan that an omnibus spending ordinance that addresses our capital planning that we did throughout the budget process, where it came in and what they needs. We got pretty extensive wish lists from department heads. We were not able to give department heads everything they wanted. We've been asking for priorities, and I am thrilled that we have been able to now plan this in a strategic manner. And I am hoping, as I said before, but is to limit the number of spending ordinances that we have in the future because we planned it this way. So this includes financing for property revaluation, which are being required to do by the county, the construction of a salt dome for public works. Right now, we do not have one. Design work for the reconstruction of Linden Avenue, acquisition of a great deal of police equipment, including vehicles, fixed license plate readers, radio system upgrades, computer workstations, digitization of records, which is something that I think every member of this council has been pushing for years, as far as to have more access to public to those records and to assist the clerk with management. Updating fire hose, which is past its useful life, and extrication tools. the first phase extrication tools, shade tree improvements, and planting work, improvements to municipal buildings, including planning for the public safety complex, town hall, thorough planning for the communications tower, which is currently falling off the side of the hill, and we really don't want that. Major repair of Franklin Street Bridge, that's the one that connects between the two neighborhoods. Improvement of pickleball courts, for which we have a $75,000 grant to offset that cost, and the acquisition of computers. I will reiterate the one comment I made in the last meeting, that I think we need to start getting computers off of our capital, and if that needs to be budget aligned. And however we phase it in, whether it's laptops or however we start phasing it in, because it's hard when we keep buying capital. But we shouldn't have to borrow money for computers. And as we start to do that, as we identify needs, we need to start figuring that out. Any other comments? That's what I'm gonna.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate and thank the Shade Tree Commission for all of their advocacy. The capital that we have in for Shade Tree is really to do necessary and critical pruning work to improve the safety and extend the life of some of our largest shade trees in our township. Shade tree management is very costly and expensive, and this is the first step at investing in that. And I'm very excited to see the strategic work that the Shade Tree Commission is doing under the leadership of its chair, Ms. Carol Thomas. And so this is definitely a step in the right direction. I'm really thrilled that we are able to address some longstanding infrastructure needs, including repairing the bridge, repairing town hall because water is seeping in and causing mold. While I don't love necessarily everything in here, most of it is very critical and necessary, and I'm proud to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I echo some of your comments, but this is a result of our budget process and our budget meetings. And it's appropriate our CFO is here tonight, bringing all of our department heads forward and really looking for their want list. And you pick through and you get the most important needs for those departments. And this is the result of that. So I'd like to thank all the department heads for helping us out to specify what the needs of the town are.
So no further council comment, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamura.
Yes.
Mayor ordinance 2024-22 passes 5-0 will be published into law.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2024-23 on second reading. Madam, please read the title of this ordinance.
Capital ordinance by appropriating $10,000 from the pool capital improvement fund for the pool furniture in the township of Verona, County of Essex.
Madam Clerk, now it's time for the public hearing on ordinance number 2024-23, the same public. Motion to. Oh, sorry. Or step ahead, we're doing 7 of these. Would somebody like to move this?
Someone.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
I'll second.
Second.
Thank you. We got Councilman Roman on the second. All right, now is the time for public hearing on ordinance number 2024-23, and the comment statement on it.
I'm trying to get the motion on this one. She beat me to it.
Well, thank you. Team effort. Mr. Petrangeli, good to see you.
How you doing? I'm Paul Petrangeli, Verona, New Jersey. Obviously, I haven't been here in a while, sports and everything. So I'm just wondering what the improvement fund for the furniture really is, because to me, $10,000 to spend on furniture is what I'm reading. I'm not really sure, but when the pool is just totally in debt and everything, and landscaping is being paid for by the DPW, why are we paying $10,000 for furniture? That's all I want to know. Is it like seats and tables and stuff like that, or is it like actual? I mean, I don't even know. Furniture to me sounds like how Ms. Holland said before about oil for your car. Seems like, are we putting leather seats in our car? Or that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Petrangeli. Mr. Yarko, I'm sorry, any other public comment? All right, public comment is closed. Mr. Yarko.
Yeah, it's the existing furniture at the pool that the residents, so the residents that are members of the pool use. Some of them are worn out, some of them are dangerous, and you need to replace them, just like you'd replace anything else wearing out.
We could, really don't want any jagged edges around the pool.
Yeah.
Nor do we want them on the bottom of the pool. Councilman Holland.
I would also just note that the $10,000 is being appropriated, or it's coming from the capital improvement fund for the, is it not, or is it, it's coming from the pool utilities capital improvement, okay. So this is not coming from the general township budget, it is coming from the utility. So again, this isn't the municipality subsidizing the utility. I will also note just that there are a number of broken umbrellas and others, so it is a large reinvestment in the furniture at the pool for those that buy memberships to the pool. And so it is being funded by those memberships.
Thank you. Call roll, please.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Campbell.
Yes.
Mayor, ordinance 2024-23 passes 5-0 and published 24.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2024-24 on second reading, which please read the title of this ordinance and speak.
Capital ordinance by appropriating $235,000 from the general capital improvement fund for various capital improvements in the Township of Verona, County of Essex, New Jersey.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Will somebody move the ordinance? So moved. Second. Made by the Deputy Mayor. The second is made by Councilman McGrath. Now it's time for public hearing on ordinance number 2024-24. Send public comment. Statement of what? See, now I will close public comment. I just want to remark, it's generally like that when we use the capital improvement fund because we're not paying debt service on these items, borrowing money for these things. So this is including our catch basins, repairing outdated catch basins, some sidewalk repairs, largely from tree incursion and other items, accessibility improvements on the community center, software for the municipal clerk's office, protective equipment, personal protective equipment for the fire prevention, fire marshal's office, the design for the Verona Community Center roof that is in significant need of replacement, as well as the roof at the DPW garage. This does include some EV charging stations that are also income generating, and meter kiosks, which are also income generating. We'll be taking the parking meter heads from certain high capacity areas like municipal lots 1 and 2 and moving them along because our parking heads many are broken. So we'll be repurposing those and using the more user friendly kiosks that more easily accept credit cards and so on. Certainly easier for enforcement as well. Further next comment? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Campbell.
Yes.
Mayor ordinance 2024-24 passes 5-0 will be published 22.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2024-25 on second reading. Madam Clerk, if you please read the title of this ordinance.
A bond ordinance providing a supplemental appropriation of $355,000 for phase 2 of the construction of Hilltop Park in the Township of Verona, the County of Essex, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $355,000 bonds and notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Somebody like to move this ordinance.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anybody like to second this?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councilman Roman. Now is the time for the public hearing on ordinance number 2024-25. Okay, public comments in. Hearing none, I will now close the public hearing. Hilltop Park is what most would refer to as Liberty and Freedom Fields. This was an additional park area that was developed with developer money and thing pile of funds years ago. There was a lawsuit. This is a land tech, and this is an appropriation in order to settle that lawsuit. And thus it's being added to that bond. It's not something I think anybody on this council wants to do. But it is, in the opinion of our attorneys, a necessary item, and that this amount that on which we're settling is certainly less than our potential liability to lean forward for this and attorney's fees. That's why nobody wanted to make the motion. I think it's one. Just so I don't know. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call?
Alderman Hall.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath.
Yes.
Councilman Roman. Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Clear ordinance 2024-25 passes 5-0 for published.
All right, next up is our consent agenda. On our consent agenda this evening, we have one set of minutes, which is the May 6th meeting. And that's for resolutions supporting, including our budget amendment, settlement agreement with Section 360, which is the property on Oxford Avenue, accepting a quicker ticket grant and then allocating those, as well as our national affiliate settlement grant, awarding contracts for tree trimming, authorizing a contract with Baker and Taylor, and the low step certification in 2023, which is the tax shelter retirement grant of long-term firefighters. Does anybody need any ordinance removed? I guess that agenda. Is there any resolution from the consent agenda? Would somebody like to move the consent agenda? Motion made by the deputy mayor to move the consent agenda. I will second that motion. Now it's time for public comment on consent agenda items only. Same public comment statement. None, I'll close public comment and open for council comments. Councilman McGrath.
Great, thank you. I have a comment and a question. So the comment is for our town manager. So on the tree trimming contract, this is a new vendor that we will be using. They will be handling, I'm assuming, both our emergencies and our ongoing work for our shade tree, trees. I just want to confirm that as they probably have private business as well, that the administration is working to ensure that should we have a emergency, that they have some sort of expectation on how quickly they're going to get to us. Can you just confirm that, please?
Correct. And we will be having a meeting since it's a new vendor. Now that they've been selected and the resolution is passed. We'll be having a meeting with them, including our shade tree representatives, the chair and vice chair, relative to the process and procedures for Verona.
Okay, good, because we just want to make sure that when we have safety issues, that we get that prompt response that we were used to with the previous vendor. My other comment is on the Spectrum 360 project. So I'm looking at both our town attorney and our town manager. Can we have an update on where we are with that project? And I know it was approved by the planning board. So what are we doing tonight? How does that fit into the bigger picture?
Yeah, I actually don't have an update as far as the latest and greatest.
Yeah, it was and the agreement was mostly procedural. Yeah, there was an existing agreement. I'm sorry, it was my voice late at night. There was an existing agreement. It had a former attorney on it that's no longer retained by the council. Previous manager was also listed. Those adjustments were made. I've also included the signing not only by myself, the town manager, but now also executing by the deputy township manager, so you'll have the coverage period. None of the terms and conditions have been changed from that agreement. It's effectively the same agreement. Even the firms involved are changed to a degree.
Are they looking to move forward? So part of the agreement was that when they got to a certain stage too, they were going to give us a very significant payment for our affordable housing trust fund.
Yes.
When is that going to happen?
I don't know yet. We're working on that. See if I was been in contact with them. My office has been in contact since we processed and cleaned up the paperwork. As soon as that happens, the council will be the first to know.
Okay. Yeah, in case we get resident questions, because it's been fairly quiet.
Okay, so that was actually one of my questions was, is this finalizing our payment? But you've answered that. My only comment here would be, since you're gonna work the settlement agreement with Spectrum 360, maybe you should contact our planning board attorney, since he was there during the whole thing, and have him deal with you.
Brian and I will.
He's obviously very familiar with it.
Yes, sir.
We'll also get you an update as far as exactly where they are in the process, even though nothing's changed. Thank you.
Just one item on case 6, which is a resolution. The 2023 resolution is still there. So it's,
Yeah.
it needs to be updated.
2023-201. I would have caught it tomorrow. Thank you.
Any other council comments? All right, hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland?
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath?
Yes.
Councilman Roman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Yes.
Mayor Tamburro?
Yes.
Mayor, resolutions K1 through K10 will be numbered 88 through and including 97.
Thank you. We have no licenses and permits this evening, nor do we have any addenda. Is there any new business? Or unfinished business? Hearing none, this time we'll open for public comment on any item. Same public comment statement apply. Please state your name.
In New Jersey. Haven't watched the video. I encourage you to take the time. I think it was great that you highlighted some of the things that the neighbors were raised at the meeting. I think that there were other things that were brought up that we didn't talk about here, and we don't want to get into that here. So you had some discussions. You talked about notifying the neighbors and for the spreading the word. You being our board of directors, I think it's your responsibility to spread the word, not mine. I talk to my neighbors. I'd like to help to figure out when you send your notification out to the residents of the town, how do you detail the process and steps moving forward? Because there was a lot of confusion at the meeting. Not everyone is aware of the steps of the council and how the bonding process works and when the meetings are. So how do we get that into the mailing that's delivered to the residents so they understand the steps when the meetings are and how this is approved, because it really wasn't done very well this time. I've been in town a very long time, and I've gotten plenty of mailers in my mailbox on what's going on in town and in the community. And this one done through whatever the system, I have 3 neighbors that have been there less than 6 months. We have to do a better job at this. How can we do that?
We can't answer you until the public comment is over, but we will respond to you.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody?
Paul Petrangeli, Martin Road, Verona. Just one thing to touch base on what he was saying. The 250-foot radius or whatever is 200-foot radius. In my development experience, that's usually used for like driving piles, things like that. Certain smaller projects usually go to like 500 to a 750-foot radius. So just expanding that 200-foot radius. Let's remember 200 feet is only about 68 steps. So let's try to expand that radius, because I am right down the street and I didn't even know. I have no idea. I'm a little bit outside 250 probably.
Please say your name.
Sure. I would like all Verona residents to get a mailing about the next meeting. I think it's critical for everyone in town to know about this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, hearing none, I'll close public comment at this time. Mr. Jarko, I do feel the residents' comments on the mailers and things like that. I'm wondering maybe if you could send those to us so we can provide some feedback as the representatives to the administration before they get sent out. So we might be able to provide some feedback. And also note on there that residents are free to come to any public council meeting and share their comments as well in that venue. I don't want residents to feel like they are limited to the this meeting. And as I'll restate my request with having some of our summer help hand deliver, we can always put people to work. The one concern I have with a townwide mailer is that it costs about $5,000 to do just for the postage. We don't unfortunately have the congressional franking privilege, plus all of that. And generally, what we've done in the past is when we've had to send out a mailer, we've combined kind of major things like notifications and that we had to put out. So I don't know if we can put something in there when we have the next like water notification or something like that. But we're potentially combine that so you can look at that as well. I do want residents to be notified, but to an extent, there's also a notice from the residents to use some of the established communication tools that we have, like social media and the newsletter, and the rave system and so on that we do populate with frequent materials. But I do see that. I think certainly as the project progresses, we should be able to find a happy medium between those two things. That's just my opinion. It'll be provided there was money in the budget to send a mailer to everybody. It's not something we budgeted for. I would certainly support that if you saw the need for that, but we combine it, it might save us a little money on that side. But if you could get out to us what you plan on saying, like you can have some things that administration misses because you're focused on one thing. So I would appreciate that. Which you, just for the record, the administrators, the managers, and I do as part of our system of government, but he's doing this because he understands how it is. Our job is not to review everything that comes out of his office, but I think in this circumstance, if we have residents that might comment on this, that we should step up on.
I'm just saying.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Director. Any other responses? Okay, we previously made a request resolution to go into executive session. Will we be taking any official action? Or...
No, sorry.
Okay. So why nothing else?
No.
Okay. We'll be taking no official action. We will adjourn after the executive session. Our next meeting is on Monday, June 3rd. We look forward to seeing you there. Have a good day. Take care. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.